Hi friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. I'm starting an impromptu reading vlog because I'm not really feeling that well, but I'm going to be starting my book of the month picks. I picked two because they were both some of my most anticipated books of the year. I have the A Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley and the Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. I'm also doing a secret project with both of these books for my podcast. So I needed to read both of these anyway. Like I said, not feeling well. I had a headache last night. I felt terrible because I missed my friend's reading sprints. Jessie, I'm sorry. Ashley was on there with her and everything, and I'm like, ugh. Anyway, I had a terrible migraine last night. Woke up with still a headache, migraine today, and I think it's my allergies kicking in. So for the past, I don't know, the past few years, I have been dealing with allergies. Never had allergies like growing up or anything. It just kind of started as an adult. Last year, I finally took some tests that confirmed that I'm allergic to 2 different grasses, dust mites, and I have a ragweed allergy. So I'm allergic to like 4 different things. And now that all the pollen is coming out, I think it's just making me sick. So I started taking an antihistamine today. It's like a 24-hour antihistamine, so I'm just gonna have to take it until pollen season is over, I think. But yeah, I wanted to start the Paris Apartment. I don't even have the dust jacket on the book, but it's right here, and I figured let's go ahead and do this together. And I will show you the books with their dust jackets and all of that later. I will worry about a thumbnail later. I just actually want to get started reading. I'm in bed because I'm just not feeling good. My eyes hurt, my head hurts, and yeah. I've only read the guest list. Haven't read any of these other ones. Let me know if there's anything else I should check out. And here we are, starting with the prologue, Friday Bin. I know there's a lot of perspectives. Let's see if I can flip to one. Oh, there was a start of the chapter. Jess. Oh, there was another one. Concierge. Oh, there was another one. That's Jess again. Jess. Okay. Jess must be the sister. Sophie, Penthouse. Mimi, Nick. So I have heard from friends that have read it that there are a lot of characters. There were a lot of characters also in the guest list, but it kind of does remind you like who people are throughout. And I've heard that it's just probably better to like, it's okay, be confused by it and see if it all comes together in the end. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna take any character notes. I'm just gonna read it through and see what happens. I'm going to take care of some business things today. I read to page 60 of the Paris Apartment last night, and then I passed out. And when I woke up, I don't even remember. Yesterday was just a blur. I wasn't feeling good, and I do think it is my allergies, and I haven't taken my allergy medicine yet, so maybe that's a mistake. But I want to get this crossed off of my to-do list because I just want it to be over, you know? So I'm gonna go do that, and then I will update you guys later on. All right, I got my business taken care of. And I stopped off at the book exchange also because I am collecting. Wow, we're just failing here. All right, I took care of my business. I just stopped at the book exchange. Now I'm heading home. It's about 12:30, 12:29 to be exact. and I'm gonna eat something. I'm gonna mark these books down. I'm keeping a little list of the Patricia Cornwell series and like which ones I need. And then I also decided to get her, I think it's another name. It's not the 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒕 series, but it's something else. It's another series, another main character. It is in the Andy Brazil series. There's only 3 books in that series. I'm not sure, like for 100% certainty, but I don't think I've ever read those books. But I figured they had all 3, so I went ahead and picked them up. Tell me that she does not look like Meg Ryan in this author photo. I think she looks like Meg Ryan in that photo particularly. Anyway, she, more than any other author, she's been writing since the 90s that I know about, maybe even earlier. And her author photo changes so much. I know she went from like Scribner to Putnam to William Morrow. I'm not sure if that's who she's with currently. So I know she's changed publisher, but I feel like every book she publishes, there's a new author photo. Because she does usually publish one every single year, or at least in the 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒕 series she has. But there has been a gap the last like few years, so that's interesting. Anyway, my allergies are really acting up. My eyes hurt so much, and my lips just feel really dry even though they're not. So like I said, I'm gonna head home, and I also need to film a video today, so who knows if I'll actually be able to read anything. I hope, because the 60 pages that I read of the Paris apartment, I'm actually really enjoying so far. All right, friends, I thought I would check in. Do you see that stack of books over there? Yeah, those are all books that I got yesterday and today. Yeah, it's a problem, and there's more than that. These are just Patricia Cornwell books, and there's actually like, I don't know, it's hard to see. There you go. Yeah, all of these are Patricia Cornwell books. This is all part of one series, and these 3 books are part of another series. Anyway, I don't know if you can tell, but I am so, like, my eyes feel like this. I've been so busy. I have not read. I'm like, is this actually gonna be a reading vlog or no? Am I gonna read The Paris Apartment and the Book of Cold Cases? I hope so. There I am. I'm gonna take a thumbnail. Wow, I look halfway decent because I just filmed. So I'm gonna put the camera here. Both of these are some of my most anticipated books of the year. I picked both of them from Book of the Month. I got this as my pick, and this is my birthday add-on. Even though my birthday is in February, because I didn't choose, they rolled my credit over to March, so I was able to get both of these. So that's really exciting. I started reading this one last night. I made it to page 61, like I said. There's not really chapters, it's just by like people, and I'm in a Jess perspective. So far there's been like Jess, Sophie from the penthouse, Mimi from the 4th floor, Jess again, Nick from the 2nd floor, Jess again, the concierge, things like that. And I am overall enjoying it so far, but I've only read 60 pages. When she goes to Paris, shows up at his apartment, he's not there, and she's like, what the heck? He just left me this voice memo, like what's going on? So she lockpicks her way into his apartment, and then she starts meeting the people in the apartment, and she's like, hey, do you know my brother Ben, like where he could be? And everybody's like, I have no idea. Now, I am theorizing because obviously this is a mystery. I'm trying not to theorize like too much, but if something like smacks me in the face like this did, I'm definitely going to mention it. So on page 44 and 45 of the hardcover copy, there's two different things back to back, one on one page, one on the other page, that just has me having this theory. So on page 44, let me find it. Oh, she's talking about trusting your inner gut. And she's like, try to imagine the rational explanation that must be behind all of this. Should I call the police? Is that what a normal person would do? Because it's several things now. So when she saw the first thing, she was like, oh, okay, that's probably just like a whatever. She saw the second thing, she's like, oh, okay, I could explain that off too. But now she's noticed several different things that makes her think maybe something happened to Ben. So Ben not being here when he said he would and not answering his phone, the cat's blood-tinged fur, the bleach stain, the broken necklace, but more than any of this, it's the way it all feels. It feels wrong. Always listen to your inner voice was Mom's thing. Never ignore a feeling. So she considers calling the police with like all of these different things that I just listed, but she doesn't. And then on the next page, she's like leaving the apartment to go get breakfast or something like that. And this is what got me. The courtyard looks less spooky in the light of day. I passed the ruins of the statue of the naked woman, the head separated from the rest, face up, eyes staring to the sky. One of the flower beds looks like it has recently been redug, which explains the smell of freshly turned earth. I don't know about you, but if I was starting to theorize that something happened to my brother, all these weird things were happening, and then all of a sudden I saw this flower bed that had been recently redug, I would be digging it up again to see if my brother's body was in the flower bed. Would you not? I don't know. At the very least, I'd call the police for sure. But it's whatever. I'm gonna keep reading, but if I'm right, from page 40, that's gonna be so disappointing. But all right, I'm gonna read, and then actually I'm gonna edit, and then I'm gonna read. My husband should be home soon, and yeah. All right, later. Update on the Paris apartment. I'm coming to you from my PJs, and yes, it's 11:15 in the afternoon, but here we are. Okay, so finished this last night, and I rated it 2 out of 5 stars, you guys. I was severely let down by this one. I loved The Guest List by Lucy Foley. The writing seemed similar though, and I'm worried that maybe this wasn't as good as I thought it was. Because I know there's some people that didn't like this. I liked it. I gave it 5 stars. This one, on the other hand, it literally could have been written anywhere. There's no way for you to know that this is set in Paris other than them using the same French phrases over and over and over again, talking about croissants and talking about coffee. But that's a little cliche, no? So it really could have taken place anywhere. I don't know why it was particularly set in Paris. And you get a few different perspectives. You're mainly following Jess. Jess is the main character. She's a sister down on her luck. She's from London. She's going to stay with her brother Ben in Paris, stay with him a while, unwind, figure out her life, whatever. Of course, her brother knows that she's coming, and he leaves her like this voice message that kind of gives her some last minute like details, like, oh yeah, it's this building, this number, blah, blah, blah. I'm waiting up for you. But then when she arrives, he doesn't answer the buzzer. She makes her way in. She gets to his door. She's knocking. Nobody's answering. She picks the lock. She goes in, and her brother's nowhere to be found. And so she starts asking people in the apartment building, like, hey, have you seen my brother Ben? Hey, have you seen my brother Ben? I'm worried about my brother Ben. He was waiting for me, and now he's not here. Like, do you know my brother Ben? And it's so funny because that's literally all the book is she's going from person to person, asking them, do you know Ben? Do you know where Ben is? Do you have any ideas where Ben could be? Did he ever mention me? You know, things like that. And it's just that over and over and over again. So the whole book, you're just trying to find out, where's her brother Ben? What happened to him? Where is he? Where has he gone? All of that. But we do know that right as he was leaving her the voice message, someone used a key to get into his apartment, and we hear him say, oh, you know, something like that. And I did share earlier when I was reading how she saw like the cat with the blood tinged fur and like all of that. And like, I don't know why she just didn't like immediately go to the police. And she does go to the police, but she doesn't get, like, she doesn't know French, and so it's hard for her to like communicate and stuff like that. But I would have kept trying, or went to the embassy and then said, hey, I need help with something. Like, I don't know how I would have handled it differently. But all of the women, literally the way that they're written is like the exact same. They're all freaking dull. The only way that you know them apart, not really Jess. I couldn't tell you what Jess looked like to save my life. But there's Sophie and Mimi. And even though they sound exactly alike, they're described really differently. So I could tell them apart physically. But since there's no pictures, what's the point? And then there's two guys as well. Well, there's more than two guys, but the main two guys that live in the building, Nick and Antonio, is that his name? Whatever, Antoine, something like that. They're also described, like, they also sound very similar. It's just that I guess some characteristics about them make them like stand out. Like one is obsessed with like working out and stuff like that, and the other one's like a drunk. But yeah, it's just, they don't feel any different than any characters in any other book. The setting feels no different than any other thing. The characters were so two-dimensional. Literally Jess is going around asking about her brother, on and on and on. And there's just, then you get to the end and it's kind of like, okay, that's fine. But like all of the lead up to that was so boring and repetitious, because you know how I always say in like No Exit, like the girl realizes that something's amiss and she's literally trying like thing after thing after thing after thing to take care of what the problem is. In this one, she's not doing any of that. She's literally just going around, hey, have you seen Ben? Oh, you haven't? Do you know Ben? Do you know where Ben could be? And she's not actually looking for him. She's just asking people. And it's just so freaking annoying. Was the ending mind-blowing? No. Was it a little bit predictable? Some of it was, some of it wasn't. But I just didn't care. It was just okay. Was it a horrible book? No, I wouldn't say like 1 star. It was offensive in any way. But it just was like, can this be over already? So suffice it to say, wouldn't necessarily recommend this one. But now I'm going to be jumping into Simone St. James's new book, and I'm really, really excited about that one. I started the book of cold cases by Simone St. James, and I'm already loving it. So atmospheric, so creepy, so interesting, so page turning. I sat outside for about an hour earlier in the sun, as you can see. Yeah, I think it probably got a little too much sun, but anyway, I am currently on chapter 15, page 96, and it is so good. So you have two perspectives, Beth and Shay, and Shay recognized Beth when she came into her office where she works as the lady killer from the 1977 crimes, and she ends up confronting her and asking her if she can interview her, and Beth agrees. So she goes to Beth's house and creepy things happen, and now we're just getting things that happened in 77, things that are happening in present day. Is she the lady killer? Is she not? Shay also has some kind of hidden secrets about her past. Some we know, some we don't. She's also talking to this one like police guy. She's also been in touch with people since she's been in touch with Beth. And it's really interesting so far. I don't know if it was really picking up the sun that I got earlier, but I think you can definitely see it now. Like, right? I got some sun today. Yeah, so I ended up taking a nap because the sun just zapped my energy, but I did read some before I laid down. I made it to chapter 20, page 133, and I am continuing to enjoy it, which is such a good sign. Depending what ultimately happens, I could see this being rated very high and me definitely wanting to shout this from the rooftops. Like I said, I think I mentioned earlier, I'm doing reading sprints on my Patreon tonight, and it's about 6 o'clock now. So I'm gonna try to make a big dent in this and possibly finish it, be almost close to finishing it before my sprints. And then if that happens, I need to pick out something else to read as well. So I'm gonna get to reading. It's just flipping back and forth perspectives, and I'm learning more about both women, and I'm just so excited. Good morning, friends. Last night I finished the Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, and I'm still on the fence about how I feel. I did write a review last night on Goodreads and the Story Graph, and I'm just going to take a second to remind myself about it. Initially, I will say that I loved the characters, I loved the creepy vibes and atmosphere, the mix of like paranormal and like true crime. And I like that the cover like makes sense to me now, so that's really cool. Really, I just liked the atmosphere. It was compulsively readable. It's like mysterious, so you're wanting to just keep reading and figure out all of the clues and all of the secrets. Okay. Oh yeah, and I also wrote in my review that I have read now The Sundown Motel, Broken Girls, and now this, and I think this one is my favorite. Okay, so this is told in two parts. Let me try to find those parts. I read this one in one day, guys. I was not expecting that. Okay, here we go. So here's part one, and then we have part two. So they're about equal in length, but I liked part one way more than I liked part two. So when I was doing my sprints last night, I was telling them like how good it was and how I was like totally immersed in part one. I was thinking probably like 5 out of 5 stars. And then in part two, something happened and it kind of changed the story a little bit. And I didn't like that addition. And I don't know like what could have made it better for me, but I didn't like the direction that it took in part two. So I said part one blew me away. I was loving the atmosphere and the creepy vibes. It's like a mixture of haunted house and true crime mystery. And the story is basically you have this lady, Shay Collins. She works at a doctor's office during the day, and at night she's a blogger for this true crime blog that she started called Book of Cold Cases, where she takes a look at old cases, and she's just kind of like obsessed with true crime. I mean, I can relate. And so she you know, she listens to true crime, she reads a lot of thrillers, and she listens to audiobooks and, you know, all that stuff. And one day she's at work and this lady comes in and she's like, oh, I recognize her from somewhere. And then it clicks, oh my goodness, that's the lady killer. So the lady killer is this woman named Beth. And I guess like 40 years ago, she, in the 70s, because it's 77 and then 2017 are the two different timelines in Oregon. So I guess in 77, this woman was accused of shooting two guys in the face, leaving them on the side of the road and leaving this like cryptic note behind. And she ended up getting acquitted. So she was, you know, obviously let go, and she went back to her family's mansion, her childhood home, and has lived there for the last 40 years. And no one's really heard or seen her around or anything like that. But everybody knows her as the lady killer still, because like small towns just don't forget stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So of course, as a true crime blogger, she's like, OMG, I gotta talk to her. So she like trails her out of the doctor's office, and of course Beth spots her and's like, what do you want? And she's like, oh my gosh, you're the lady killer and I just want to interview you. And the lady's like, you know, I'll have to think about it. But she's like, okay, yeah. So she agrees to be interviewed, and then Shay goes to Beth's house and is conducting an interview, and weird, creepy things happen on the very first time that she goes there, and that's what makes it so interesting to me. Oh my gosh, what's this about? And the way that, so it's kind of like Evelyn Hugo in the way that Shay is interviewing Beth, that you're slowly getting pieces to the puzzle and you feel like you're the interviewer because you're slowly getting pieces of the puzzle and you're trying to fit everything together. And I thought that that was done really, really well. All right, back to my review. What else did I say? Oh yeah, there was no fluff, there was no pretense. It was just, you were just getting the pieces, and the secrets were being revealed, and I was just along for the ride. And then part 2 happened, and the supernatural elements started playing a bigger role, and it sort of lost me a bit. I have found this with horror books and like fiction books that try to include supernatural elements, and I have noticed in Simone St. James, she really likes to write supernatural elements. It was in the Sundown Motel, it was in the Broken Girls, and now it is in the Book of Cold Cases. I don't know about her backlist, and I honestly did not know she had that big of a backlist. I think I showed it, but let me know down below if you have read any of Simone St. James' backlist. I'm trying to find it now. The Haunting of Maddie Clare, which the Haunting of Maddie Clare, like you can just know that that has, and then The Inquiry into Love and Death. I mean, you know, that probably has supernatural. Silence for the Dead, The Other Side of Midnight, Lost Among the Living. So yeah, it sounds like she really likes supernatural elements in her books. And I have a hard time with supernatural elements because I don't believe in ghosts per se, even though I have had ghost encounters, and I do think there is a ghost in the house that I currently live at. It's just not a believable factor for me. So when I start reading about it, whether that's where the book's headed or not, I always just start rolling my eyes a little bit. So yeah. And that's another thing, that even if it was going to go in the unbelievable paranormal direction, I don't think it went enough in that direction to make it believable for me. It felt unbalanced against the murder investigation, and overall the story would have been better if there was a better balance, or if we would have just kept the supernatural out of it altogether. And then I said that I was finding it difficult to rate the story because there were parts that I really liked, but the definitive yet unsuccessful lean towards the supernatural is just making me roll my eyes. But it was immersive and it kept me guessing until the end. I was hooked enough that I finished it within a day. So for now, I'm rating the story 4 out of 5 stars. Not that many of my friends have read this book yet. I think everybody's like, it's kind of that part of the month where everybody is starting to pick it up if you picked it. I only know like one other person that read it, and I haven't read the review yet, but I know that they rated it like 5 out of 5 stars. And so it's kind of weird because I want to rate the first part 5 stars and the second part like 3 stars. So that would make it like a 4 stars. So that makes sense to me. But also 4 almost seems too high. I don't know. I feel comfortable with 4 stars. I don't know if any of that helped you guys decide if this would be something that you want to pick up, but it's about serial killers, it's about true crime, all fictionalized, and it is compulsively readable. It's immersive, it's creepy, it has great vibes. I just don't personally think that I have read something paranormal that has sold me on the paranormal aspect. And since that's kind of the direction that this book takes, I don't know how I feel about it. But 4 out of 5 stars for this one, so highly recommend you pick up this one rather than the Paris Apartment. The Paris Apartment was not it. But yeah, that's it for this reading vlog, you guys. Another successful month of reading my book of the month books. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're having a lovely day or night, and I'll see you guys again in another video very soon. Bye, guys.